I heard that Charlie Sheen was offering a prize for a 10-minute film. Here's my take on freedom in 10 minutes. I'll have to read fast. Freedom, what it is, how it's being held away, and what must be but is not being done. Passing kingship to the people is our foundation. By kingships, I mean dictatorships of all kinds. The Constitution for and of the United States of America is for one thing, the preservation of your rights. By its construction and intent of placing limitations upon government and the separation of governing powers, freedom is the guaranteed liberty to do anything you want, anytime you want, anywhere you want, provided you do not damage anyone else. That's it. That's the bottom line to equal rights for all. There is no one superior to you with the power to tell you what to do, not with a badge, a gown, or a noose tie. That would be creating a royal class which is expressly forbidden. Our hierarchy is one level, everyone on it, with public servants, which include all government entities, whether state, federal, or corporate, are persons below you with the primary constitutional duties and obligations of keeping you secure in your person, papers, and effects. Now, freedom is too simple for most people to get their heads around, and in fact, at least 87% believe and do exactly as they're told in a perpetual state of fear, whether they know it or not. And most of the rest will say, that might have been true a long time ago, but it certainly couldn't work today because we can't see anywhere that it applies in our lives. We ask permission to use or do anything with any of our real property, which we think is ours. Hell, we don't travel to the store without a license in our pocket and a plate on the rig. Well, here's your first legal and lawful definition. A license is the granted privilege to do something otherwise illegal and unlawful. So, if you think that this couldn't work today, you must believe, know it or not, that your rights of liberty and to be secure in your papers and effects are illegal and unlawful unless as licensed privilege, and you would be legally dead wrong. So, how is it our foundation became a dream that is now fading to black? By confusion, deception, secrecy, but most of all, ignorance. So, let's look at the first two rules you are required to know to possess freedom. One is that you can give your rights away. If you couldn't, they wouldn't be your possessions. And two, rights cannot be slept upon. If one of your rights is being trampled, if you don't stand up for it, you never had it. It's pretty obvious how ignorance of these two rules has put us directly into servitude. In fact, these are the foundation and blueprint principles of the texts of law enforcement procedures. This is presumed for your benefit as it allows you to enter your person in a contract which unconstitutionally puts you in service to another. So within a contract for profit and gain, you are in commerce and there are no constitutions of commerce. There is only whether you did or did not comply with the agreed upon terms and conditions of said contract. Without contractually lowering your status, you are a capital C citizen of the United States of America having all rights, with liberty and justice for all who thereby stand. A lower class C has duties and obligations of persons, whether they are public servants from possessions of the United States in commerce or from foreign lands, and rights and liberties do not apply for them. But for the rest of this text, I'll be using capital C for when I mention citizen. If you have not ascribed your person with duties and obligations by contract, and one of your rights is being stepped on for you or your right to matter, it becomes your duty to bring a civil action against the aggressors if they do not cease and desist, and all law and fact are on your side. I know you're getting a glimpse of why this is the thing that must but is not being done, but I want to make it perfectly clear how racketeering has been perfected throughout the American judicial system that completed the separation of you from your rights. Let's clarify a few more terms. Rights and privileges are not interchangeable. Rights are non-regulatable and cannot be abridged. They are unalienable, not unalienable. And privileges are regulated grants which can be withdrawn. Rights can only be replaced with privileges by contract with full disclosure and mutual consent. Law in our country is the Constitution, state and federal, and laws made and cases determined in harmony thereof. Statutes are regulatory schemes that most, if not always, waive rights, and that is why legally not distinguishing between law and statute is equaling to fraud. To qualify as prima facie of a contract, an instrument must contain an end date, terms and conditions with full disclosure and mutual consent, and the willing signatures of the parties to the agreement. A peace officer acts only to restore harmony when disturbed and to help identify fault if damage can be demonstrated. That is their only job around citizens. A law enforcement officer legally is a statute enforcement officer, and they are not to question statute nor even understand them. They are just to enforce. Most of them say it's the law, which again is fraud and has only been allowed because the citizens don't hold them accountable. The known history of governments undeniably demonstrates that they want to grow in power over the governed and govern over more until they must be overthrown and the cycle is repeated. So it is easy to see why, under our new system in which we are not governed but guaranteed to be kept secure from being governed, the machine wants to form the hierarchy and get back to the age-old theme, go until the top dog wins, or covert business as usual. So people were contracted into commerce, and we stopped all this business about constitutions. Just a couple of examples most of you are all involved in without reading the contract or knowing the consequences. First, the Social Security contract is over 3 inches thick, but the primary forfeiture, it states that you are incapacitated and unable to handle your own affairs. With your signature, they got you. 2, legal definition of resident is a person in a location for commerce, for profit and gain, upon conclusion intends to leave. So, their activities must be regulated to protect the interest of citizens domiciled in that area. And 3, your signature on a driver's license describes your person with duties and obligations of Title 49. Unless you're using the roadways for profit and gain, like a cabbie or moving furniture, you're not a driver. You're in commerce. You are traveling as a guaranteed liberty which cannot be limited or regulated. It has been adjudicated so many times. As well as case law, I have a magistrate stating so on the record in the case of mine. Do you think that you're a person? Gotcha. Again. As soon as you state that you're the described person, you just submitted to the regulation. Pay close attention. The legal definition states that a human being is not a person because he/she is a human being. A person is that which is the substance or subject of the duties and obligations of which duties and obligations are ascribed. Your person is one of your possessions in which you are to be kept secure. So anytime you discover duties and obligations ascribed to your person without full disclosure and mutual consent, you can stand up at that time and void the contract, terminating all duties and obligations of submission.